Okay. This is day 7. Unit 7, day 1. Let me get this out of the way. Of polynomials. Polynomial is an expression consisting of many terms. Terms is the number of terms. Like this would be one term, 5. Negative 6x would be one term. This would be a 2-term expression. This would be a 1, 2, 3, 4-term expression. So term is going to be an important. The standard form must be written in alphabetical order with the highest exponent first. So like if you had 5a to the 4th, 5ab plus b to the 5th, ABC order, so we put the a's first, then we have AB, and then you go down. Like if there was a b squared, it would go next. So if you had like 2b squared plus b to the 5th, you're going to go in backwards order here. You're going to go 1, 2, 3. Here you're going to go 4. So that's how you're going to work those out to highest alphabetical order, very important, and you put the highest exponent first in ABC order. But when you're going when you get to the second letter, you go in backwards order. Let's look at some examples of putting these in order. Here we have a cubed root, a square root, and a 1 to the 1, so it's 2x squared plus 3x plus 1. Here you have a squared root, a cubed root, and a k to the first power. So you're going to put the cubed root first, the squared root second, k to the first power, and 64. Here we have a 3. You have a 3. You have a 2. You have a 1. That one's to the 1. So you're going to put the third, the second, the 0, and the 1, and the 28. Same thing here. The negative 3, the third, the 1. They didn't have a 2, so you just skip it, and 24. 5. Let's do number 5. Let me make that a little bigger. Here, it's more like the one I was showing you in the example. So we have the cubed root of A. A comes before B. So B is going to be at the very end. The highest root of B is going to be at the very end. The highest root of A is going to be at the first. So then we have AB, the squared. A squared would be second. Doesn't matter what this term is. A to the first power would be next, and then B to the third. So you do have to do them in those orders. Here you have a C and you have a D. So C is going to come first. So we have negative C cubed, and then we have a D cubed, but you're going to, because this is C squared, it has to come first before you start the D's. So 7C squared, D squared, plus, then you start your D's because it's ABC order, D cubed, and then your whole number without a variable goes very last. This right here, this would always go last, the one without the variable. Let's look at this chart real quick. If you have classifying polynomials, remember we talked about degree and number of terms, and we talked about the number of terms. So a number of terms, one term is a monomial. If you have 0 terms or 0 constants, degree is, polynomials are classified by their degrees and the number of terms. You have, if there's 1 degree, you have a linear equation. That would be like 6x. Here would be just a 6. So the degree would be 0. Okay? Monomial means 1. That means you have at least 6x. Okay? Or you could have 6. A binomial is going to be 6x plus 6. You have 2 terms. That would be a binomial. A quadratic is when you have a squared. Okay? A trinomial is going to be where you have 6x squared plus 6x plus 6. There's 3 terms. A cubic, it means you're going to have a 6x cubed. You're going to have the cubic power. Polynomial would be 6x cubed plus 6x squared plus 6x plus 6 is a polynomial. Quartic means it's got 4. And that's all you're going to learn for Algebra 1. So these are what you have degrees. That's this number right here. And number of terms is how many things are added together. Okay? So let's classify each polynomial by degree and the number of terms using the chart. So if we have number 6, just the number 6, it's going to be a constant and it's going to be a monomial. But if you have a negative 2x, it's going to be linear because you have an x. And it's still going to be a monomial because it's still just one term. 7p plus 1 is going to look like this one. So it's going to be linear. There's one x. And it's going to be a binomial. This one is you have a square root. So it's going to be a quadratic. And you're going to have 3 terms. 1, 2, 3. It's a trinomial. Number 11. Sorry, that's my daughter, my granddaughter. 4a cubed minus 8. Well, we have a cubed root, so that's cubic. But we only have 2 terms, so that's a binomial. In this one, we have a 4th term right here, which would make it a quartic, but it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, which makes it a polynomial. And that's how you do that one. Then we're going to go into adding and subtracting polynomials. You can add and subtract polynomials by just simply combining like terms. So it just gets harder and harder, and that's all you're going to do is combine your like terms. You can watch the videos also that I've attached from Math Antics and Khan Academy to see how someone else does this. This one right here, you have this plus this. Well, the main thing that I would do is first you've got to get it in order. So you would have x squared, it's a negative x squared plus 11x plus 13. And I'll put them up and down. You have a 2x squared minus 5x minus 23. So once I get them in order where you have your highest root to your lowest and put them in order, then you add. So here we're going to add. You just simply, so when you put them, you put terms like terms together. So this would be x squared. Positive 11 minus a 5 is positive 6x. Negative 23 and a positive is a negative 10. And so your final answer would be x squared plus 6x minus 10. And I want you showing them this away. I want you to show them where they're one on top of the other. This one right here, 4x squared minus 5x. So you have a 4x squared plus 5x. And you're going to subtract. Do you see this is an x? You got to be careful about that. you're going to subtract. Here you have a 3x squared, so that has to come first. 3x squared, and it's positive. Then you have an x, a 7x, plus a 7x, plus a 1. So you need to make sure you have 3 terms on the bottom and 1 term on the top. Does everybody see that? Now, because we are subtracting, your signs are going to change. So if this was a positive, this is going to be a negative. If this was a positive, it's going to change to a negative. If this is a positive, it's going to change to a negative. So do you see how I changed everything here? Because I'm subtracting. So 4 minus 3 is x squared. Positive 5, negative 7 is a negative 2x. And that's just a, bring it down. You're just combining like terms, so you're really not subtracting. Negative 1. So that's all you do on that one. So there's an example of an adding and a subtracting. Let's come down and do some of our homework assignments. So if you have number 13, let's look at that. X plus 5 plus 4x minus 7. So all you're going to do is x plus 5 and 4x minus 7 and add it. You don't have to change the sign. That makes 5x. 7 is the highest, is minus 2. And that's how you do that problem right there. This one right here, you're going to put it in like terms together. So number 14 is going to go k squared minus 4k plus 7. And you're adding again k squared plus 9k minus 3. You don't have to change the signs. So it's 2k squared plus and a minus would be plus 5k plus 7 minus 3 is plus 4. And that is your answer there. Okay, let's look at number 15. You have, we can just do it here. These are in order. So you're going to be w to the third minus 2w squared minus 5. And we see that this is just a square, 3w squared minus 11. And you are adding. So negative 11 minus negative 5 is negative 16. Negative 2 plus a 3 is just w squared. And it's a positive. And this would be a positive w to the third power. And that is how you would do that. I want to see these up and down and where you add them up and down. Okay, let's look at this one. 9x minus 5y. Then you have 3x plus 2y minus 7. Well, you're adding, so this is going to be 12x plus 2 minus 5 is negative 3y minus 7. And that's how you leave that. This is your final answer, and that's what you're going to box. So make sure you box your answer, your final answer, so that I can look at that. Let's do number 18. I'm going to let you do number 17 on your own. You have 6a squared minus 5a. So you have 3a cubed plus no a squared minus 5a. So, and you're adding again. Always look at the sign. So you have 3a cubed plus 6a squared, because there was nothing. And I just put a 0 or a placeholder so you know. And 5 and 4 is negative 9a. That's how you do that. Now let's go on to some subtraction problems and go through these subtraction problems together. Okay, let's look at number 19. You have put like terms together. X squared, number 19. X squared plus 17x minus 3x squared plus 5x. Remember, you're subtracting, so this is no longer going to be a plus, it's going to be a minus. This is no longer going to be a plus, it's going to be a minus. Okay? So if that helps you to change that sign, that's what I like to do. So if you have a negative 3x squared and a positive y, you're going to get a 2x squared. You're going to get a negative. You have a positive 17 and a negative 5, you're going to have a positive 12, 12x. Now let's look at this one. You have a 5r minus 2s. You have a 9r minus 11s. You're subtracting here. So guess what you're going to do? This is going to become a negative, and this is going to become a positive. So I like to, if this was a negative, I like to cross that out and put a positive just so that you know. So you have positive 5, negative 9 would be negative 4r, and you're going to have a positive 11, which would be a positive 9s. And that's how you got that answer. Very important, you do them up and down. Let's look at 21. You have 4c minus 11. You have 4c plus 11. But let me show you, you're subtracting, not adding. So what happens when you subtract is you change your sign. This was a positive, it becomes a negative. Okay, this is a positive, it becomes a negative. So then you have positive, negative, positive, negative. It's just going to be negative. This becomes a 0, negative 22, and all you have to write is the negative 22. Let's look at this one. You have 3m squared minus 7m minus 1, m squared plus 2m minus 5. Remember, they become the opposite sign when you are subtracting because we are subtracting. So this isn't no longer a plus, it's a minus. This is no longer a plus, it's a minus. This is no longer a minus, it's a plus. Okay? So 3m minus 1m is 2m squared. Negative 7, negative 2 is negative 9m. Negative 5 plus a 5 is positive 4. And that's how, oops, that was a positive, it became a negative. Oh, I wrote that down. This is a positive right there, so it is 5. Sorry. It's plus 7 minus 2 is 5. I changed the sign, but I wrote that one down wrong. So you've got to make sure you copy your answers down correctly. Let's look at number 23. You have 7v minus, oops, you got to put these in order. V squared minus 7v plus 14. You have v squared plus 8v plus 15, and we're subtracting, so your signs are going to be the opposite. This one will be a negative. This one is going to be a negative. This one will be a negative. It changed the signs all the way across. So we don't have any, that leaves 0 there. We have a negative 8 and a negative 7, which leaves a negative 15v. And then we have a positive 14 and a negative 15, we get a negative 1. So the, ooh. Oh, I copied down a wrong again. This is This was a negative up here. Negative 2v squared. I'm sorry. And this is a positive 7v. I didn't look at the signs on this. Be sure you look at the sign. I made a real big mistake on that one. Positive 7v. This is a negative 8v, which gives you a negative v minus 1. I'm sorry, I really messed those signs up. Make sure when you move these signs over, when you move these places over, you put the sign that goes with it. That's what I didn't do. So let's look at this one. You have 8x minus 3y. Here you're going to put like signs together. So those are positive and negative. Positive 5x, it's a positive 2y, and it's a minus 13. But you're subtracting here. That's what you're mainly doing there on that one. So we're going to change this to a negative, change this to a negative, and we're going to change this to a positive. So this becomes 8 minus 5 is 5x was positive, it becomes a negative. So be careful. So it becomes a 3x. This is negative, and a negative is minus 5y, and it's a positive 13. So 3x minus 5y plus 13. Okay, some of y'all were messing up on this. When it says sum, find the sum, that means you're going to add. You just write these down. 8p squared minus 2p plus 15. And you put 2p squared. It's a negative. Don't forget that negative sign. And this is a minus 11 and a positive 11 and a minus 1. So it'd be a plus 10. And there's not going to be anything here. Okay? So all you're going to do is combine like terms, which would be a 6p minus 2p plus 5. I think they thought there was a p there or something, because of 15 and that's an 11 minus 1 is 10. There's no way that that's 14. So if you're adding it, this has to be 25. So I don't know where they got that. That answer is wrong. This one, where y'all were finding this one wrong, is subtract this from this. So you're going to put the top, this is your top one, plus 6w squared minus 2. You're subtracting this from this. So 2w squared, it's a minus 5w. Oh, there was not a w. Minus 5w and a plus 10. And you're going to subtract. So that's going to make that a negative. That's going to make that a negative. And it's going to make that a positive. So you're going to have w3 plus 4w squared. Then you're going to put this next, minus 5w minus 12. And that would be your final answer. So that concludes our teaching page. Sorry, I didn't even show you that. That concludes our teaching page. You need to make sure you go through all of these problems. Make sure you work every one of these. And this will be submitted along with this homework page. Homework page 1. You will need to submit homework page 1 of this unit. Make sure you submit that page. when you submit all of it. That concludes. Thank you very much. Good luck on this lesson.